Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Ascend Aeronautics ASC-2400 HD video drone. Although you can't get your food delivered by drone just yet, you can buy a variety of cheap drones to use as toys or for capturing unique video footage. Today we're going to be looking at one of those cheap options, the Ascend Aeronautics ASC-2400 that we stumbled across at our local Costco. There appear to be a couple versions of this on the market currently. We have the 2400, but there's also a 2450 with better tracking, and apparently a 2500 which has a 1080 camera instead of a 720. This is marketed as a beginner-friendly drone, and it's good for anybody 14 or older. So in terms of packaging, you can see big plastic window, lets you see everything. You have the drone, the controller, and all the other accessories hidden underneath. Specs are printed back here with a little information on the company. So I'll go ahead and take this out of the box and go over those specs. Retail price on this is about $50. For us, it's a $54.85, but it seems like you can find this for a variety of different prices on the market. This has a standard quadcopter design, which means you have 4 different propellers, one on each corner, which is one of the most stable options currently. You have 720 video streaming, so it can stream directly to your phone, and you can do recordings as well as snapshots. You have 15 minutes of runtime from the lithium polymer battery, as well as a 400-foot range. And because this is beginner friendly, it even has a auto land and auto launch feature, so it makes it really easy to get started with. In terms of what comes with it, obviously you get a controller, you get the drone, you also get the battery for the drone and some of the charging cables. This is also a holder that attaches to the controller to mount your smartphone to stream the video. You have 4 AAA batteries, and this is for the controller itself, so you have 2 battery ports on here. You also have additional propeller blades, so this is something that often gets broken, especially if you crash it. So it's nice to include a full set of replacements as well as a little screwdriver to install them on the actual drone. You also have the instruction manual with a little QR code for the associated app to help you get started and set up. Now let's take a look at the weight of the drone. So here we have it folded with the battery installed. So the drone itself, that comes in at only 184 grams, while the controller with the little phone attachment and the batteries installed on that as well, that also comes in at 184, so pretty light overall. The ASC-2400 drone has a compact folding frame design with a common quadcopter 4-propeller setup. You can see when it's folded, it's very small and compact, so you can throw this in your luggage or in a backpack if you're traveling. The arms simply swing out, and you just want to fold the bottom ones before the top ones. So if we fold it back out, you can see nice plastic design. Each of the propellers has 2 blades on it, and they're simple plastic blades, so very lightweight, and they also have the replacements if you do damages or if you crash it. And then on top, you have this almost cheese grater design to it, which is just a little cover panel, the power button here, which you need to turn it on initially. And then you also have a variety of lights built in. So you have a rear light here, you have the front lights as well as the camera, and this can pivot up and down if you want to adjust the angle. So nice easy control with a ratcheting design. And then underneath you also have additional lights, so it really helps you determine the orientation of the drone, especially as you fly it from further distances away, as the colors for the front and rear are different. So it makes it really easy to distinguish. It feels pretty cheap, and that's not surprising considering that it is a cheap drone. So all plastic, but very lightweight and supposedly easy to fly. You can see the battery on here is a simple removable design. It's a 2000 milliamp lithium polymer battery. You can purchase these separately, but it does cost more than the drone for a couple of these. And with 15 minutes of flight time, you may want to consider more batteries if you want to use this a lot. Simply slides into place, and once it's installed, you just power it on and then sync it with the controller. The camera on here is called an HD camera, but it's only 720. And from what I've seen other video footage, not really great, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but basic angle adjustment, and that's about it. The controller really looks like an Xbox controller. You have this nice attachment for your cell phone, and you can see it expands for larger phones. 2 joysticks here with a nice spring load feeling to it. So it's to control orientation, altitude, and then you can bank it forward and to the side. There's also these trimming buttons here, so you can trim it left to right, up, down, side to side if you want to fine tune it. It is pre-calibrated, but if you do crash it a lot or you just want to adjust the flying style, you can use these to adjust it. This button here is actually not used at all, according to the manual, so you just ignore that one. There's the up and down arrow. This is for the auto launch and auto descent. So you can press this to make it automatically turn on and go up, and then press it again to have it automatically land. You can also manually do it with these two back rocker buttons. So you can see one says Stunt, and that's the stunt mode for actually doing flips. So if you press that, you can actually do a full 360-degree roll. The left one is speed, so there's 3 different speed settings with this. It comes shipped in the low setting, and then you can go to medium or high as you become more skilled with it. And then a variety of actions when you hold the 2 buttons. That'll do an emergency stop and kill it just in case you're about to hit something. But overall, pretty simple, and the 4 batteries are included, and they're even Duracell branded, which is kind of surprising at this price point. Now let's set up the drone to fly. So the first step you want to do is obviously charge the battery. It takes a couple hours, so you want to make sure it's fully charged, because once it goes low, it doesn't really hold altitude. Once you have that set up, hold the top button on there, and you should see it flash. And we'll place it on the ground, turn on the controller, and then you can see this is flashing as well. So hold both joysticks up, both down, and you should hear the beeps. And that's it. So now it's fully synced and ready to go. You need to do this every single time. Now let's fly the drone. It's pretty simple. So to launch it, you press the button. This will auto launch it, and if you press it again, it'll auto land as well. And it'll keep going down until it hits the ground. So you want to make sure it's flat. We'll do that again. So altitude is controlled by the left joystick. So you can see I can go up and down in altitude, and the light will flash on the rear. The other control you have is steering. So you can see I'll rotate around if I do the joystick. And the hardest part about this is you have to remember it's a combination of banking. So the right joystick is banking. So left, right, backward, forward. And you can pretty much steer with this as well, but you want to use a combination of the rotation to get the best control. So you can see if I bank and turn, I can do really tight corners. I can go backward and forward just using banking as well. So it's a combination, and then you just want to get comfortable with it. Definitely go somewhere nice and flat without wind, because any type of wind, you can see this will just drift. So not doing any controls here, it's just sliding off even though there's no wind here. So that's really one big downside of this drone. It has a mind of its own. And if you ever get freaked out, or you think you're gonna crash or something, the back 2 buttons will automatically do an emergency stop. So remember that if you start losing control, press the 2 buttons. The other controls you have are speed. So this is the speed button, the back left button. So you can see right now it's pretty lazy as far as the controls, so it will turn, but it's not very fast. So if you want to make that a little more agile, and as you become more comfortable with this, you can actually increase the speed. So if you press the rear button for speed, you'll hear a beep. So it'll beep the number of times a level. So 3 levels, 1 beep is 1, 2 is 2, and then level 3 is the fastest. So now you can see it's much more responsive to motions. And that does mean it's harder to control as well, because any little input will automatically do something. So you want to definitely be careful with that, and only do that as you become more comfortable. And then level 3, you can see much better responsiveness, and it does drain the battery quite a bit too. So I've noticed level 3 really kills the battery a lot quicker than the 15 minutes. So I would recommend leaving level 1 or 2. Now there's also stunt mode, which is really cool. So if we zoom out and we go all the way up, and you press you want to make sure you have 6 feet, and then press the stunt button and then roll one direction. So you can see that it actually rolls. So we'll do that again. So I press the stunt button and then hard left, and it actually does a full roll. So pretty cool feature, and it only works on level 2 or level 3. So it doesn't do anything on level 1. So you can see fairly loud, but fun to play with. Especially for a $50 drone, you can actually do a lot of fun stuff with this. And then you have lights as well, so you can see the lights will help indicate where and which direction it's pointed. So red on the rear, white on the front. And then there's lights on the bottom as well. So if you're looking at it from the back, you can see that. So pretty nice and maneuverable. The big difference between this and higher end drones is obviously this thing drifts a lot. It's not very stable because it's not that powerful. And then the battery life at 15 minutes isn't very much, so it will drain quickly. So you have to make sure you charge it. And as soon as it gets low on battery, it becomes very hard to control. The other feature is the camera on the drone, and this actually connects to your cell phone using a network. So it has its own internal network. Once it's on, you can see HD drone, and the last digits are the PIN code. You want to make sure that's connected. Then go to the 200 series app, and you can actually start recording from that. So you can see once it loads, you get a video. So we'll start recording, and then we'll launch. You can adjust the angle of video as well. Now, unfortunately, the quality is really bad. So you can see that it's just not very good, especially for 720. It's just blurry and then poor motion. So there's no real stabilization. So you can see as I turn, it becomes really kind of jarring to look at. So definitely disappointing that if you expect to do any kind of camera or video footage, I don't really recommend it. You want something a little more expensive, something with a nicer camera, because 720, especially with this kind of resolution, just doesn't cut it. So you can see if I try to get my bike in view, it is quite hard to really stabilize on it. And there's no gyroscope, which is why it's so kind of rough video. Most video, like a GoPro, has image stabilization, which makes it a lot easier and better to use. But you can see with this one, it's just very rough to look at, and you can't really fly it using just a video. I don't recommend it. You can also adjust the angle of the camera, so we'll go ahead and do that. So bring it back in. So you can see the angle on here is adjustable. So a little swivel mount. So we'll do straight down, and we'll go over the rock structure. This is a pretty cool little rock structure we have here locally. And again, you can see the camera's just not that great. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the drone. What we like about it is that you have a budget price at only $50. It's quite affordable, so it's almost disposable and something you can play around with. It's also beginner friendly, so if you've never flown a drone before, you can really get the hang of it after a little bit of airtime. Also, the plastic construction, although cheap, really holds up well to crashes, so you can crash this quite a few times without really damaging it, and you even have replacement propeller blades included with the drone. The cons for the drone is the fact that the camera has very low quality. Even though it's 720p, it looks like 2000 cell phone quality, so if you expect to get any photos or video from this, this is not the drone to buy. It also drifts away in any type of wind, so it's not that stable, so that means you really have to be careful. Don't fly it in any real wind, and even if there's a little bit of wind, be aware that you have to compensate for the drift. Also, you have limited runtime, especially at the higher speed settings, and you only get one battery with the drone, which means you have about 15 minutes, and at the higher levels, such as 2 or 3, it can be even less than that, and once the battery gets low, it becomes very hard to control. Taking everything into account, we give the ASC-2400 a 7.2 out of 10. It's a budget-friendly drone, but there are better options on the market. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.